Hey, it's Mike Bowen, USAT Rules Ambassador for the Southeast region, and glad to be in front of the camera for a few minutes again. We just got some recent rules changes, fresh off the presses from USAT back just a couple of days ago, and this is the result of the rules harmonization between USAT, World Triathlon Corporation, and the ITU. So there are some rules that have to deal with elite draft distances for longer distance races, but for by and large the most important stuff, in my humble opinion, will be the rules changes and modifications that relate to age group athletes. Let's start out with what changes are going to happen to the 3.4D unauthorized assistance rule. The change to the unauthorized assistance rule now allows participants to provide incidental items of assistance on the bike or run course. So if you loan something out, let's say an inner tube or a gas canister on the bike course to somebody who needs one who's fixing their flat tire, or say a water bottle or gels or electrolytes or whatever have you on the run course, as long as you're not sacrificing your race completely altogether. Let's say giving them a pair of shoes or providing them an entire wheel and at the risk or at the sacrifice of your own race. This is perfectly acceptable, but sacrificial assistance is not going to be allowed at all, period. We're not even talking variable time penalty here. We're talking disqualification for both athletes, all right? A couple of adjustments to the 5.9B rule having to deal with chin straps in the transition area. Now what the rule states is that your helmet has to be completely and securely fastened before you pick your bike up off of the rack in transition, and it has to remain fastened at all times until your bike is racked in transition at the end of the bike leg. Normally in transition, if an athlete is observed with the bicycle and an unfastened chin strap, it could be a variable time penalty. The rule has been adjusted to allow what is known as warn and amend. So an official can inform an athlete that they need to stop, correct the problem, and then continue on. So if they don't have their chin strap snap, they need to stop, snap the chin strap, and then they can carry on. And if the athlete does not stop and amend their behavior after the warning, then they can be assessed that variable time penalty in transition. However, you get out on the bike course, and if the chin strap is seen unfastened outside of the transition area, it still is a disqualification. There is no warn and amend there within or out on the bike course itself. 7.1, Rule 7.1, covering entering and exiting the transition area. And that also is now covered with a warn and amend situation for age groupers. So if an age grouper mounts the bicycle, throws their leg over the top tube of the bicycle, mounts their bicycle before the mount line, they will be warned about their behavior, and told to mount their bike once they cross the mount line. When they're coming back into transition, if they go over the dismount line into the transition area and they're still mounted on their bike, they will be stopped and warned of the behavior and asked to amend that situation. It only takes a couple of seconds, but it's better than violating, getting a variable time penalty. One more thing I forgot to talk about in the 3.4D unauthorized assistance rule. If an athlete is on the run course, say, and there is a non-athlete or family member or friend or somebody who is, or an athlete who's finished their race, who is running along with the athlete and pacing them, that is going to be a warn and amend penalty, or warn and amend situation, where we will inform the athlete and the pacer that they need to remedy the situation and allow the athlete to go on to carry on without being paced by the pacer. And if they don't fix it, then it will be a variable time penalty. And hopefully I didn't make this too terribly confusing today. And I promise, as always, that I'll do better the next time that I get on in front of the camera for you to talk about rules and such. If you have any more questions, please don't hesitate to go on Facebook at www.facebook.com/USAT Rules Guy, or you can email me at michael.s.bowen@gmail.com. Have yourself a fantastic afternoon, okay? Bye-bye.